Hey folks, MasakoX here, and this is the story of what if Piccolo had a son. And you can catch up with the events of this adventure right here. Getting used to the new body was one thing, but all of the gazes were the thing that were really giving Bansuri a hard time. All of his friends and allies were there, but he was almost like a different person toward them. It is of course hard to blame them, as the last time they saw him, he was a perpetual infant who had recently just started to talk. Takiko, Gohan, future Gohan, was the first to speak to him. After a moment of shock, he continued to converse with him, albeit with a mixture of awe and confusion. But how? How is this even possible? He managed to say. I stopped holding back. Something I should have done months ago. I'm sorry, everyone. He looked into the direction of Takiko's past self and nodded at him, as if he wanted to give him some kind of a hint. Not everyone was impressed though. Vegeta just passed by him, walking toward the Room of Spirit and Time, taking future Trunks with him. All he got from the son of the prince was a thumbs up, who looked particularly grim of having to go in there with the prince. It seemed that Perfect Cell had managed to crush his ego, but had left the arrogance intact. Then they blinked twice, seeing Bansuri's new look. Well, this is awkward. You're taller than me, he smiled wildly. To be fair, I was older, just a bit of a late bloomer. The son of Piccolo allowed himself to have a little bit of a laugh at that joke. And then Goku looked at both father and son with a bright smile. Hey, you two look great. I'm sure you've gotten some real insane gains from getting older.
Well, greater than we expected, yeah. Piccolo looked at the Saiyan. But I think for now, we could take these few days and have a little bit of a rest.
Bansuri, would you fight me? I want to see how strong you got.
He smiled.
I wanted to give Bansuri the opportunity to rest Goku.
But his son nodded instead.
Don't worry, Dad. I've got this.
His progeny nodded and prepared a defensive position.
Also we're clear, do not destroy the lookout, please.
Mr. Popo looked at both of them with concern.
Don't worry, Mr. P. We'll be careful. All right, let's go.
Goku started with a quick charge, something that Bansuri anticipated and blocked with relative ease. Now this was his time to shine. Without any excess movements, he used the multiform technique to surround the Saiyan and attack him from every side with 4 copies of himself. Goku, being Goku, was able to dodge, but since this took all of his attention, Bansuri decided to go for an uppercut, which connected and took the Saiyan right off his balance. Still, the advantage was fleeting, as his sparring partner had managed to recover and took out 2 of the copies. The remaining 2 copies circled around and blasted 2 beams of energy toward Goku, who managed to be dodged by Goku. Bansuri was waiting for this though, jumping at his back and then got to his neck. The Saiyan tried to shake the young Namekian off with a quick elbow strike, but one of the other remaining copies blocked it. After that, Goku decided to make his current situation into an advantage, as he used his power to plummet toward the ground in order to crash Bansuri into the surface of the lookout. The Namekian had to dodge, as the copies then vanished. They were standing next to each other, looking at one another. And then, Goku started to laugh.
Whoa, Piccolo! I gotta say, I'm mighty impressed.
Big Green nodded, also decently surprised by the progress that his son had made in the Room of Spirit and Time. They only had themselves as a point of reference. I mean, sure, Goku probably wasn't going all out, but neither was Bansuri.
You've gotten crazy strong, Bansuri. With so many strong warriors out there, we can take on Cell no problem.
The Saiyan nodded.
Are you sure, Goku? We don't want to get too cocky.
Piccolo shook his head.
Yeah, I know, we need to keep our guard up, yeah, but I see at least 2 warriors capable of taking down the monster. And I haven't sparred with you yet, Piccolo.
I think I'll pass. As much as I believe in good training and discipline, in case something happens, I think we deserve some rest.
Bansuri then bowed toward Goku and ran up to Piccolo.
Did you see that, Dad? Goku was all whoosh, and I was like, whoo!
There was some new brightness and excitement behind the eyes of the young man. He was passionate, something slightly alien toward Piccolo. But watching his son truly enjoy fighting for the first time was amusing.
Someone's enjoying their new abilities.
Bansuri's father smiled, but then got serious again.
Remember, don't get too confident. Cell will likely try and exploit our every weakness. He's a cunning opponent.
Right, sorry, it's just, this all feels liberating to me.
Bansuri blushed in the shade of a darker green.
Ugh, no need to apologize for being happy about your gains, just be on your guard, okay?
Yeah, listen to your dad, Bansuri. Keeping your guard down happens to the best of us.
Goku chimed in, but after everyone looked at him, he then scratched his head.
What? It's happened to me. That's why I'm sharing the information and the experience.
Piccolo then sighed loudly.
We know, Goku. We know.
Hey, I'm hungry. I know that you guys don't need to eat and all, but you do like to do so, right, Piccolo?
The Saiyan smiled.
Yeah? I'm treating that as one of the very few social activities that I partake in. Well, that and for some reason the evolution didn't take our taste buds, so yeah, I can enjoy food.
Well, how about dinner at home? You can come too, Takiko. Chi-Chi will be glad to have you all as guests.
Will she? Future Gohan remained unconvinced, but surprisingly, he was wrong. She was not only excited to finally be able to speak openly with the future version of her son, lamenting that he hadn't become a great scholar, but was at least satisfied that he had grown up to be a strong and handsome young man, and was also surprised to see Bansuri.
Aw, he was so cute and small before,
she said with some sadness, but with a deal of interest as well.
I'm sorry that you had to take care of me, Miss Chi-Chi. I was repressing a lot and pulling a lot of my friends. Will you accept my apology?
Oh, you were so polite. See, Goku? Piccolo knows how to teach some manners. I am sorry about every little thing I ever said about you, Piccolo. Someone who raised such a polite and well-behaved young man surely has some kind of strong moral code. And he doesn't change someone's hair suddenly.
Apology accepted. But Gohan, Trunks and Bulma also did a lot. Both Gohans, and both Bulmas if you think about it. Also, I'm pretty sure that my son's changed more drastic than just the hair.
Chi-Chi seemed to ignore that last part, because right after that, she continued to talk.
So, Bansuri, Takiko, sorry to call you like that, but it just makes it easier to tell you two apart. How is the future me? What kind of person is she like?
The future Namekian and his friend and caretaker exchanged a bit of a panicked look. Gohan even swallowed part of his dinner very loudly.
Well, not that different. You both are equally excellent at cooking, and you took a lot of hardship in terms of raising me.
Yeah, and you were pretty kind to me as well.
Bansuri tried not to address Goku's fate and the fact that Chi-Chi had basically gone crazy.
See, a strong moral core is true in all timelines.
Chi-Chi smiled proudly. They laughed for a moment about her reaction toward all of that. It was a rarity to see her in such a good mood and carefree, but it really did feel like a family celebration of sorts, even if the threat of Perfect Cell was lingering in the air. After a short while, President Gohan decided to ask something, as it seemed that it was on his mind for quite some time.
So, Bansuri, I don't mean to pry, but how much do you actually remember? I'm really curious how you, forgive the word, function right now. Were you aware of everything when you were a baby?
The Namekian smiled politely and nodded.
Don't worry, no offense taken.
It took me some time to come into terms with all the changes that have happened within me lately. But yeah, I remember it all. The Bansuri you're talking to right now was always there, but I guess I felt like I was observing it from behind a glass or something. I was very scared, very locked in.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to invoke anything traumatic.
Gohan blushed, looking at his food.
Don't worry, friend. That's all fine, as I was finally able to leave all of that trauma behind. And as for the second part of your question, of how I function, I do say that this is very much akin to how grandfather gave birth to dad, but there's more to it than that.
Piccolo then looked at him rather patiently. They hadn't talked about this before, but it seemed that Bansuri was in the mood to finally open up on more of his earlier memories.
So you are in a way a reincarnation of our Mr. Piccolo?
Takiko looked at him curiously.
Not only, but I think I'm the full set. Just like Dad and Kami did in his timeline, I guess. I suppose I'm the new version of the nameless Namekian. Is that how he was referred to back in our homeworld, right?
Yeah, I heard that term before.
Gohan looked at his father.
Back on Namek.
Everything's awfully complicated with you Namekians.
Goku scratched his head.
Well, I think it's safe to say that I am my own person, but if we are technical, then yeah, I guess I am.
But you could also heal before, right? Like the Dragon Clan, Piccolo continued. My powers are still related to the Warrior Clan.
Yes, I'm not sure why, but if you think about it, Grandfather had also shown examples of mixing the two styles together. Maybe you too can learn both. Maybe this can be taught and doesn't have to be innate.
Huh. Piccolo's eyes widened as he looked at the others.
I mean, he did create you and all of your siblings. This was kind of a bit sorcery-y, Goku added.
Think you can try and teach me someday?
Big Green looked at his son, actually surprised. Yeah, of course. I think I could still do it. To be fair, I haven't even tried in this form. Bansuri scratched his head. Well, hopefully you won't need to find out, because no one is getting hurt, right?
Chi-Chi gave them all a stern look. There was no response. And then, Takiko chimed in with some family stories to ease up the mood. The rest of the meal was, once again, more jovial than expected, and everyone appeared to have a rather good time. Bansuri and Piccolo did some sightseeing during those few remaining days before the Cell Games. The elder of the Namekians had proposed that in case something were to happen, he wanted his son to at least experience Earth in its full beauty one last time. They meditated near waterfalls and on the mountainsides, which was generally a pleasant experience. But he wasn't held on a leash by his father, and he was allowed to spend time with the Gohans to catch up with Trunks, or even on his own after he left the time chamber, and to just go with the flow. For the first time in his life, when he didn't need to be looked after, he felt free. Though if everyone knew where he went, there would probably be objections. He looked from afar at the meticulously made stone arena, with 4 spiky pillars at the edge of it, and in the middle, the monster was just standing there, waiting. Bansuri approached slowly.
Oh?
Perfect Cell, who looked more like a man and less than a bug, looking slightly surprised by this person's appearance.
Initially I thought you were Piccolo, but now that I see you... Wait, did they go on a recruitment trip to Namek again?
Bansuri smiled slightly.
So you don't know who I am?
And should I?
Cell was still relatively calm, even amused to see a new face.
Well, not necessarily. We met only once,
the Namekian exclaimed.
Did we? Oh, kill me, I don't remember. Oh, by the way, I'm joking. Do not literally kill me, or do, if you think you're strong enough to take part in my Cell Games, of course. The more the merrier.
At this point, the bio-android appeared to be toying with his unexpected guest, having a laugh. I just came here to get a read of you, Bansuri exclaimed.
Oh, I'm so popular lately. First Goku, now you.
The Namekian nodded slowly.
Of course, Goku would do that. Well, my name is Bansuri.
Wow, are the wooden instruments taken?
Cell tilted his head.
You know, I used to be really afraid of you, even though I'd only heard about you.
The Namekian was looking at the monster puzzled.
I have that effect on most, I'm not going to lie.
He smirked.
I don't think you understand, he shook his head. You no longer scare me.
Cell cackled loudly.
And I appreciate the bravado, I really do. Have you seen what I did to the last guy that was so sure about himself? I'll give you a clue.
Bansuri held up his hand.
That won't be necessary. And don't get me wrong, you're very evil and dangerous. You absorbing the 2 androids is enough to make you an extremely respectable opponent.
And yet you think taunting me is the right move before the tournament? Give me strength.
Cell's friendly guise was slowly dropping.
Oh no, you misunderstand. I'm not taunting you. I'm sorry if you took it that way.
Bansuri bowed his head in a polite manner.
Then what are you?
The Namekian looked him square in the eyes and said the next bit without a shadow of hesitation.
It's just, you know that your days are numbered, right? It's inevitable.
The tone was polite and smooth, and there was silence after that. Cell tried to then laugh it off, but there was something in the posture and tone at the way the Namekian was conveying this to him. It somewhat unnerved him.
Anyway, it was nice to finally meet you, Perfect Cell. I shall see you at the tournament.
He nodded and then flew away. The bio-android was really tempted to shoot him down here and now for his arrogance and defiance. Then a cold shiver coursed down his spine. Where had they met? How did he know him? Most of the time, Cell was the one keeping others in the dark, and he absolutely hated the fact that someone was now using his own weapon against him. Oh, he will pay. All of them will. He was the perfect light form. He refused to be taken down by an Namekian of all people. This fool shall see what can be done with just a sprinkle of Piccolo's DNA that had caused him to become superior to his pathetic race. To all of them! Deep inside, however, Cell was glad that nobody had been watching him lose his cool. That won't happen again, surely. And that's where we're going to be leaving things for right now.